Instantly, the airport was silent. What had started as a typical morning descended into pandemonium when suddenly, in an orchestrated movement, 15 police dogs broke ranks and sprinted toward an unaccompanied little girl standing alone at gate 12. Their handlers screamed orders, passengers shrieked, but the dogs ignored everything and everyone. They circled around the girl in close quarters, barking loudly. She froze on the spot, clutching a small pink backpack against her chest. "Please make them stop," she cried, her trembling voice beseeching anyone who would look at her in the most imploring manner. Nobody fathomed what exactly was going on until one policeman finally noticed something odd. Every time the girl took a step backward, the dogs would lunge forward, not in an attempt to attack her, but as if being urgently drawn to her. When finally the truth was uncovered, the entire airport would be in tears. Now, before we go further, be sure to like the video, share it, and subscribe. And tell me, where are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments. I very much enjoy seeing how far these stories will reach. That morning at Kennedy International Airport had begun like any other. Rolling suitcases, flight announcements, children laughing, until a sharp bark shattered the calm. All eyes turned to the K9 demonstration unit, where the dogs had suddenly abandoned their positions. Their handlers tried to regain control, but the animals refused to obey. They moved together with a strange, focused purpose, forming a protective ring around a small blonde girl near gate 12. "What is happening?" someone whispered. Officer Mark Jensen, the lead K9 handler, pushed his way to the front. "Rex, stand down," he ordered. But Rex didn't listen. The German Shepherd growled softly, not in aggression, but almost in warning. His eyes stayed fixed on the girl. She stood stock, still clutching her pink backpack, her lip quivering. "Please," she whispered, "don't take it." There was something in her tone that hit Mark like a punch to the gut. She wasn't scared. She was desperate. Passengers started to film. Security officers burst in. The tension in the air thickened with each passing second. The dogs did not budge, their bodies rigid, eyes glued to the child. Mark took a slow step toward her. "It's okay, sweetheart," he said softly. "But can you tell me what's inside your bag?" Tears welled up in her eyes. "It's my dad," she whispered. In a matter of minutes, the terminal was closed off. The officers gently escorted the shaken girl to a private security room while the crowd mumbled and speculated outside. The K9s were held back, all but Rex, who planted himself against the glass window, refusing to look away from the girl. Mark knelt beside her. "What's your name?" he asked. "Emily," she whispered, clutching the backpack tightly. "Please don't take it away from me." "We're not taking it," Mark reassured her. "We just have to make sure everything is safe." She nodded reluctantly, her hands tightening around the zipper. Outside the window, Rex began to pace, whining softly. His ears flicked, and his body language shifted. This wasn't the kind of alert posture he showed for danger. It was something else. Something emotional, almost familiar. "He's not reacting to a threat," Mark whispered to the airport chief. "He's reacting to her." "Then open the bag," said the chief. Mark took a slow breath and gently eased the backpack from Emily's hands. She didn't fight him. She simply closed her eyes. As he unzipped the bag, the room went completely quiet. Inside was a small metal tin wrapped in an old photograph. The moment Rex saw it, he whimpered, pressing his nose against the glass as if he recognized it. Mark's stomach twisted. He knew that face. The photo showed a smiling man in uniform next to a proud German Shepherd. Seated on his shoulders was a giggling girl, Emily, holding onto her father's police cap. Mark flipped the photo over there. On the back, in faded ink, the words read, "For my brave partner and best friend, until the end." Inside the tin were a folded American flag, a worn police badge, and a small vial filled with ashes. Mark felt his throat tighten as the man came into sudden focus. Officer Daniel Carter was a decorated K9 handler who had died in the line of duty 6 months ago. His unit had included Rex, and those very dogs which had surrounded Emily. It all came together in a single instant. The dogs hadn't been reacting because they were afraid or aggressive. They had smelled the faint scent of their fallen handler on the things Emily was carrying. Emily wrapped her arms around the pack, hugging it to her chest. "I was taking Daddy home," she whispered. "Mom said his heart belongs by the ocean. I wanted to take him myself." Rex uttered a low, mournful whine and leaned his head against her leg. Mark blinked hard, the sting of tears sharp in his eyes. "Oh God," he whispered. "They weren't protecting us from her. They were protecting him." Those words hung in the air as the room fell into stunned silence. Mark stared at the ashes, the folded flag, and the worn photograph. Everything that was left of Officer Daniel Carter. His chest tightened as old memories surfaced. He had trained under Daniel years ago. To Mark, Daniel wasn't just a colleague. He was a mentor, a hero, a legend. Mark turned to the chief, his voice barely steady. "Sir, these dogs, they're Carter's old K9 unit." The chief's eyes widened. "You're saying they recognized him?" Mark nodded slowly. "Not him. His scent. It's on the flag, on the ashes. on everything she's carrying. Outside the room, Rex scratched at the door and let out a low, aching whine. The other dogs soon mirrored him, their ears pulled back and their tails lowered. It wasn't fear. It wasn't aggression. It was mourning. It was recognition. It was loyalty. It was as though they knew their handler was finally home. Emily gazed at the dogs through her tears. "Daddy always said they were family," she whispered. "They still remember him, don't they?" Mark knelt beside her, his voice soft and warm. "They never forgot sweetheart dogs like these. They never do." Through the glass window, dozens of passengers watched. Silent and misty-eyed, word had already begun spreading. People filmed, whispered, and stared in awe. 15 powerful police dogs, trained to protect the city, now sat quietly in honor of a little girl carrying her father's memory. This wasn't a threat. It wasn't a security breach. It was a reunion, one that defied logic and touched every heart in the room. Mark swallowed hard. "Let them stay," he said quietly. "They've waited long enough." Sunlight streamed through open terminal doors once more. The 15 dogs stood at attention in a single line, their handlers holding caps in hand in respect. Emily stepped forward, clutching the backpack against her chest. Mark walked beside her, his voice soft and full of reverence. "We're going to walk him home together." With Rex leading the way, the entire K9 unit fell into perfect formation behind her. Passengers parted silently, hands to hearts, others wiping away tears. The usual noise of the airport faded into nothing. There was only the echo of synchronized footsteps, and the quiet sobs of a child. The misty-eyed boarding officer waited at gate 12. Kneeling beside Emily, she whispered, "Take care of him, sweetheart." "I will," Emily said in a barely audible voice. Just as she would board the plane, Rex, with a subtle step, laid his paw upon her backpack. His eyes softened with unmistakable understanding. It was a simple gesture, but it broke everyone in the terminal. Mark whispered, "Goodbye, partner." When the doors shut and the engines revved to life, the dogs sat there and watched through the glass as the plane disappeared into the clouds. For a fleeting, breathtaking moment, every soul in that terminal felt it, the type of loyalty only a dog could carry, the kind of love only a bond like theirs could create. Hers later, the airport was back to normal. Announcements were echoing again. Crowds rushed through the halls. But for those who had witnessed it, nothing felt quite the same. Officer Mark Jensen sat quietly near a runway window, while Rex lay at his feet. The old German shepherd stared out the window in the direction of the horizon to which the plane had vanished. His tail thumped once, soft and solemn, like a final salute. "You did good today, buddy," Mark softly whispered, running his hand through Rex's fur. "He would have been proud of you." A young officer approached with his phone. "Sir, it's everywhere. The video's gone viral. Millions are watching. They're calling it the dogs who remembered." Mark allowed himself a soft smile. "Good. Maybe now people will understand what loyalty really means." He stood as the K9 unit gathered behind him, their outlines silhouetted against a setting sun. Heroes come in many forms. Some wear badges, some walk on 2 feet, others walk on 4. But the truest heroes are the ones who never forget the people they love.